All right, thank you all for coming today. We wanted to have a press conference, try to answer some questions, fill in some gaps of the last report that we put out. So I'll just kind of run through the timeline of everything that took place, and then I'll take some comments at the end. As we provided you information before, at about 5:47 hours, a neighbor called 911 to report suspicious activity in a vehicle parked at their 80-year-old neighbor Mary Shisler's house, and that her vehicle was missing. The neighbor also had gone over and noticed the house being ransacked with the back door being open and a smell of lighter fluid and some kind of accelerant emitting from the house. At 6 o'clock, a Greene County deputy received the dispatch call to respond and arrived within a little over 10 minutes to the residence and observed a green Subaru Impreza parked near the home that did not belong at the house. Back door open, signs of forced entry, home being ransacked, small odor of gas. In talking with a neighbor, also some information regarding a white male. Shortly after that, our detective division was called in after we ran down some preliminary leads. Also worked on trying to trace some steps of where Mary might be. And detectives arrived on scene shortly after that. That information we were able to put out fairly quickly, and that information reached Webster County. Webster County received a call from a citizen there that noted a suspicious vehicle pulled in the driveway, and when the deputy checked that license plate, came back with the information that it was our victim's stolen vehicle, which they quickly put out what's called a BOLO, a be on the lookout broadcast. And fortunately, Missouri State Highway Patrol Trooper Choate was in the Marshfield area, spotted the vehicle, and made a vehicle stop on the subject driving that maroon Dodge Dakota that belonged to Mary. Some preliminary investigation. We worked to try and our biggest concern was to locate Mary and check her well-being. Upon initial information gathered at the scene, we could not locate her at the house or in the general vicinity. We did respond up with the suspect and was able to locate Mary within 30 seconds. We did locate her deceased in the field, and she was deceased. We then started the processing of that scene along with the vehicle that was stopped in Marshfield. Through that, we recovered over 185 pieces of evidence. We actually followed up so far nearly 100 leads, piecing everything together, and we're still pursuing about 24 more leads to finish this case up. An autopsy was conducted yesterday, and the cause of death is basically blunt force trauma to the head and some sustained sharp injuries, and we are awaiting confirmation or continuation of toxicology and lab results to finish that up. At this point, the case is now in the hands of the juvenile court, as you are aware. We'll be finishing the case up to be submitted there, and we will await what their decision is and go further from that point. There were over 25 Greene County deputies involved in this case, and that's anywhere from investigators to patrolmen and myself. There was great cooperative work with Webster County Sheriff's Office, Marshfield Police Department, and of course the Missouri State Highway Patrol, who made the car stop. If it wasn't for the information getting out and the agencies being involved and responding, we would not have the outcome, I think, that we have today. You know, I've talked about this before, and this is just another example of a horrific crime that occurred in Greene County. It was brutal and it was random. Reminds me of the Willingham homicides. And you know, we always go back and look at what information could we get out there, what could we do different. As citizens, how could we be better prepared for a random attack? But in this case, I don't think Mary had a chance with this type of suspect, and it's hard to predict behavior like this. As I said, it was totally random. And I'll take any questions that you might have.
What info can you release now about the suspect?
You know, I can't release anything at this point, other than what we've already released, a white male, 16 years of age.
From Republic.
Correct.
What's different in dealing with a juvenile case compared to an adult case?
Well, it's a whole different set of rules that we go by. In juvenile court, since the person is under 17, they will be dealing with them. I think the chief juvenile officer spoke with some of the media of how a certification process goes forward. Since this is a murder charge, that will go forward, and once that happens, if the juvenile is certified to be stood trial as an adult, then we'll transfer them to the Greene County Jail, and it'll proceed through the regular path with the prosecutor's office.
Was this kid looking for drugs? Did he go through stuff to try and find some pills or something?
I don't have any information that states that.
Okay, any idea why he went all the way from Republic to Stratford instead of just a closer rural community that he could have hit a home there?
You know, I do have some of that information. I can't release that, but what I can tell you in general terms, this was totally random. I can't give you a specific reason why in that area, but it is a random, totally random act.
Are you looking for any other suspects in this case?
We are not.
Can you tell us more about the timeline of his arrest? When that vehicle was found, you said it was Webster County, but do we have a time on when that happened?
Yes, we put out the information. Everybody started arriving right around 8 o'clock. At 8:24 is when the trooper made this car stop. So in between 8 o'clock and 8:24 is when we got the information out for broadcast. Was also sent as a, if you all are familiar with, a silver advisory alert looking for a missing person. So information was put out in a good time fashion for us, and shows a successful vehicle stop.
Any idea kind of what the motive was? Was it like a burglary gone bad, or do you know what it is?
You know, I can't comment on the motive. There is we do have the information on that, and once it gets over to the if the certification process is upheld, you'll be able to see probable cause statements pretty clear.
Did you say that you brought the suspect back to the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Find your body. Can you explain more about that?
Well, you know, one of the things when I arrived in Marshfield and I made contact with the suspect, the thing that we were looking at is we need to find Mary to make sure that if something did happen to her, if she was assaulted, that she gets medical treatment if it's possible. And so time is not on our side on that, so we moved very quickly from Marshfield back up to the scene so we could locate her and try to render first aid if possible, but unfortunately it was not in this case.
Did he willingly cooperate?
Well, I can't comment on anything that happened in between that time, but we did have enough information to get us up there and make the location of her. As I said, our first priority is finding Mary to ensure that she's okay and render aid.
I understand, since it's in juvenile court right now, the juvenile court judge will make the decision whether to keep it or move it to adult court. Is there any timeline? Does that usually take 2 days, 5 days?
I don't have a specific timeline on that.
But we do have to wait for the juvenile court judge to decide.
We do. I've had 2 other cases, one being a homicide with a juvenile suspect in years past, and that time frame took within probably 3 weeks for the certification. However, back then, that was one of the first certifications in Missouri, so I think the system moves a little bit quicker. It was new back then, but I guess that's dating me a little bit, but it's been a while ago.
Not asking you to second guess the juvenile court judge, but what do you think about this? Do you think this will be moved to adult court, a crime of this nature?
I certainly would hope so. I sure can't tell you what the judge is going to decide.
Can you tell us any more about what happened at the scene? If Mary lived alone there, how the 16-year-old would have gotten into her house, anything like that?
I can give you some basic information on that. Yes, Mary did live alone. She's lived there for many years. The information that we have based on witnesses is that she was basically she was outside talking with an individual, and I can't tell you exactly why she was outside or what led her outside and that type of thing. So.
And that was at around, well, we got the neighbor call was at around 6, you said?
Called at 5:47. So it was sometime right before that.
The individual that she was seen talking with, is that believed to be the suspect?
Yes. We have no information that anyone else is involved. The only other potential information that we may be seeking, but I think we've followed up several leads by the media attention already, is that if somebody else was a witness, happened to be driving by on the farm road or know some more information, to call us and let the detectives know. But we've gathered up enough information to know that he was acting alone.
Do you know if he was under the influence of anything?
I'm not aware of that, no.
How far away was this field where you found her from her house? Was it nearby?
Yes, it was in between her house and the neighbor's house. So probably 150, 200 feet from her house.
Was it on her own property?
I don't know if it belongs to her or not. I would assume that it does, but I'm not 100% sure. Any other questions that I can answer?
The gas that was in there, is that gas from the stove or was the liquid done in liquid gas?
It's a combination of the two. We are actually sending those samples off to be confirmed of exactly what it was. We do know there was propane, the smell of propane, but then there was also some other accelerants that we can't confirm, but we will with the lab results.
Do you have a cautionary message for older women who are living alone in rural parts of the county?
Well, unfortunately this can happen anywhere, whether you're in a rural area or the city. My caution is, unfortunately, is to be very cautious of what your surroundings are, who you're talking to. It is not, unfortunately, the day and time that you can assume that a young man or someone else is your friend. And I hate to say that, but that's the facts. I've seen two cases that in my short term as sheriff that is devastating, and where elderly people are targeted, and it's a random act. And so I want to be positive, but I also want to be a realist and let folks know that be aware of your surroundings. And neighbors, just like this neighbor, watch out for your neighbors. If something is suspicious and you don't feel something looks right, call immediately. Let us respond and figure it out. And like this neighbor, be a good witness. You've got to watch out for your neighbors, whether they're young or old. Watch out for them. Watch out for each other. There are evil people out there, and this community has experienced it more than it should. Thank you all very much for coming. If there's any other questions, we'll try to grab them afterwards. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I don't have a lot of details on her, other than we kind of, she didn't have a lot of family. She had some family in, actually two communities up, a little bit up north and then down south of the Greene County, but, I don't know. I don't have a lot of details on her. Well, the door's open.
Yeah.
I'll just, I mean, just kind of give that to you. You can't get something really good on fire to explode with propane if it's not contained, so we get the door open. It's not gonna blow up.
Thank you.
All right, you bet. Thank you.
Good.
It'd be good too.
Looked like they had it up. In here, or do you wanna go over to Juvenile? So, you know, it's not that far, so.
Yeah, it's just right there. We're having to be like,
Yeah, you are gonna be live. Thank you.
huh?
I said, you are gonna be live from there, at least that's the plan right now.
Should we just do it in here?
Can.
And I can say a press conference held here.